Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Guys at Magic. This is Hunter.
This is Dave.
And today is May 31st, 2021. That is Monday. And we've got some more spoilers today. Of course, because they're just dropping bombs every day at this point. So first things first, let's just go ahead and get right into it. Our first card that has been spoiled, or first card we're going to be talking about, is Soul Talisman. Soul Talisman is an artifact. It has suspend 3 for a cost of 1. Tap it, add 2 mana. So essentially, David, what is this?
It is this edition's version of Mox Tanalite. So if we were to take Soul Ring and Mox Tanalite, just manage the fact that that one can actually tap for like any color, and we put them together, we end up with this. But I mean, the artwork looks exactly like you just shoved these two things together.
It really does. Like if I saw the art of this card, I probably could have guessed what it did and what it is.
I probably would have been able to guess that it was bad too.
Yeah, I mean, people are calling this Slow Ring. I love that name.
That's cute.
Yeah. Instead of SOL, it's SLO. So Slow Ring, yeah, it's just a Soul Ring with suspend. I think this is not a good card. As we saw, Mox Tanalite get almost no play, period. Granted, you get 1 extra mana with this, but yeah,
I don't know. The good thing about Soul Ring is that like you can send that mana immediately to do extra shenanigans. Anybody who's played EDH before, like if you're in the later portion of the game, Soul Ring kind of sucks to draw. So
yeah.
I don't really want to be suspending Soul Talisman, and I sure as hell don't want to be top decking it.
Yeah, the only way this is good in EDH is if you take it turn 1.
I don't think it's even good then, because then what? You get it on turn 3, turn 4, whenever the suspend counters come off.
It's turn 4. It would be right 3 turns after that, or is it suspend 1 already?
No, because it would go 3, 2, 1. So yeah, you're gonna get this on turn 4, and that's assuming that you spent your first turn suspending this. Like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't think this card's gonna be good in Modern either. This is a meme.
Yeah, this is just a card that people were like, all right, that's cool. But yeah, super fusion of the two. Let's just leave it as is and say it's bad. We agree.
Yep.
Moving on. What do we got?
Next up, we have Blood Braid Marauder. It is 1 and a red for a creature human berserker. It's a 3/1 with Blood Braid Marauder. Can't block, and it has Delirium. It says that this spell has Cascade as long as there are 4 other card types amongst cards in your graveyard. So it's a cheap Cascader, but how quickly does this thing actually have Cascade?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really deal with Cascade too much personally. It seems pretty good though. I mean, it's weird because you need all the card types in your graveyard, but you can play it on turn 2.
You're not gonna play this on turn 2 ever.
I know. But it's just, yeah, it's a cool body, 3/1. A lot of things are 3/1 these days, I feel like.
I feel like if you're wanting to go with the Cascade style, I mean, Shardless Agent was just announced yesterday, which is significantly better than this because you don't have to work through the Delirium aspect of things. And then we have Blood Braid Elf in the format as well, which you can goof around with that too. I don't see this. I don't even understand why this is a rare. This doesn't feel very rare to me. I'm not high on this card.
No, people will definitely build around this, especially with red.
I mean, Blood Braid Elf is red.
Yeah, I know that, but this is Blood Braid Marauder. Okay, it's a difference. People are going to build around this. Everyone's going to be building around all the cards and try to make something super jank. I don't know. I just think it's probably not seeing any play. I don't know, man. I can't put my finger on this card.
I don't like cards where you have to jump through hoops. I don't like cards where you have to wait 3 turns for them to come off suspend. I don't like cards where you have to like put 4 different card types in your graveyard in order for it to do anything. I just look at it like worst case scenario. This is 2 mana for a 3/1. that can't block. That's not a good card.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I think we both agree this card's bad.
All right, what do we got next?
Let's just go ahead and keep going. All right, next up we have Chitter Spitter. That is a artifact that costs 1 green and 2 generic mana. It states at the beginning of your upkeep, you may sacrifice a token. If you do, put an acorn counter on Chitter Spitter. Squirrels you control get +1/+1 for each acorn counter on Chitter Spitter. 1 green, tap it, create a 1/1 green squirrel creature token. The squirrel theme is still going.
I hate this squirrel stuff. I do admit, okay, this card is strong. So you play it on turn 3, assuming that's whenever you're going to have 3 mana. And then it doesn't do anything until turn 4. And that's assuming that you have a token to sacrifice.
I mean, you could make tokens in turn 1 and 2.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, so I don't know. From if you wanted, I don't know. I just look at it like this. In what format are you actually wanting to make the scroll deck? Because I don't think that as many pieces as they're getting right now, I don't think that it's going to be something that's modern playable. I will admit that this card is strong, but this seems much more geared towards like an EDH deck where it's like Squirrel Tribal, which I don't even know if there's enough squirrels to make that viable.
Oh, 100% there's going to be Squirrel Tribal. That's the thing.
I mean, how many squirrels do we actually have in Magic? We'll have to go back and we'll have to double check this, but like, do you have enough squirrels in the entire history of this game from like real sets? And I'm not talking about like the unsets or anything like that, but from real sets to actually make a deck? Or is it just going to be like you're just jamming in like changelings and all the other like creatures that like it can be a squirrel if you really want it to be a squirrel type of thing?
I mean, you could do that until they start printing more squirrels. I think this is a start of something that they're really pushing. I mean, there was some squirrels in the first Modern Horizon thing, some things, and then they really took it overboard with this one. There is, I don't know, there is some things that make squirrel tokens. So,
I mean, I don't know. This card in and of itself, like just in a vacuum, I think is pretty good. If you do have a bunch of tokens, so like maybe excess food tokens or something like that, which this set does tend to make a lot of them, you have easy access to being able to sacrifice those tokens. There are plenty of scrolls to go around, and this card makes more scrolls for you too. So I can see the potential for it, and that this can get really out of control pretty quickly. I don't think that this is fast enough for Modern. I think this is still very, very slow, considering it doesn't do anything until at least the turn after this has been cast, at a bare minimum. But if you're going to go play EDH Squirrel Jank, go for it, you and your fluffy friends.
yeah. I think, I don't know. We'll see what I do with it if I open up some squirrels. If I get the squirrel commander that is in there, you never know.
Great.
I might build around it. We'll see.
I can't say I'm excited for this.
Let's just move on. What's next, David?
All right, so next up we have Dothi Voidwalker. It is black for creature Dothi Rogue. It's a 3/2 with Shadow. It also says if a card would be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, instead exile it with a void counter on it. You may tap him and sacrifice Dothi Voidwalker. If you do, choose an exiled card an opponent owns with a void counter on it. You may play it this turn without paying its mana cost. This, I think, might be the most pushed card in the entire set.
It seems real good, man.
This is... I can't find a single thing wrong with this card. I mean, the most I could argue with, like, it's double black, so it might make it slightly more challenging for you to cast this thing. This is just an excellent card on every front.
Yeah. I see that you have a little blurb here. It's pretty good.
So, I just look at it like, okay, so first off, now this is 2 mana. It's a 3/2, so it's already got really good stats for its mana value. It's got Shadow, which means this thing is 90% of the time going to be unblockable, unless your opponent, I guess, is playing one of these too. Because Shadow is just not a keyword that pops up very often.
Yeah, I've never even heard of it until this card, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know. It got printed like 15 years ago or something like that. And then even at that, it's only a couple of creatures that actually have it. And I don't know if any of them see play.
Yeah, this card
Um,
real good.
yeah. So this thing is going to be pushing in for damage. It's exiling your opponent's stuff whenever it goes into the graveyard from anywhere. So whether you thought sees something, it goes into exile. If they discard something, like one of those madness cards, it goes into exile. If they, I don't know, if you mill them, goes into exile. Doesn't matter what in the world's going on here. It's going to end up in exile so long as this guy's in play. And then, say for example, you are playing, I guess, in a black deck in Modern, because obviously that's what you're doing with this. You thought seize them whenever this guy's in play, and you happen to take their, I don't know, their big fatty. You take their Karn, or you take their combo piece, or something like that. You now have access to it, and you can cast that thing for free.
Mm-hmm.
This card is stupidly powerful.
And then let's talk about it as a point from EDH. It
I
just
think it's
makes all of your opponent's cards go straight to exile if they go in the graveyard.
Yeah, this is fantastic. It shuts off graveyard play, which most EDH decks are going to have some degree or some element of graveyard play, whether it be recursion or whether it just be like, I don't know, maybe just trying to, I don't know, grab specific cards from the graveyard to be able to reuse maybe once or twice over the course of the game. Like, this card is so stupidly pushed. I'm very thankful that this is a rare and not a mythic. I was checking on Card Kingdom earlier, and this thing was already pre-selling for, I think it was like $50.
Jesus. Well, I hope I open one of these. That'd be cool.
Yeah, definitely be
I think
nice.
I think it finds a home in every black EDH deck.
All right, never mind. I want to make a correction. So it's currently pre-selling for 25. I was definitely looking at a different card earlier whenever I was looking at that $50. But $25 for a pre-sale on a rare for a set that hasn't even come out yet. I can definitely see this thing still continuing to climb up in price. I think this is going to be very, very good, and I think this is going to be very playable.
Mm-hmm. I think we both agree this card might be the best spoiler today. Let's move on. We've got Sithis, Hand of Harvest. For 1 green and 1 white, you've got a legendary enchantment creature. It states whenever you cast an enchantment spell, gain 1 life and draw a card. It is a 1/2. They are definitely going for the Enchantress theme in this set as well. And this seems like a pretty good staple for that.
I agree with you that they're pushing Enchantress. They're printing a lot of enchantments in this set. At the same time, though, like, whenever I think of enchantments in Modern, I mainly just kind of think about boggles. And the whole shtick with boggles is that, like, you're putting it onto a creature. You're putting all of your auras onto a creature to make this creature really, really big. But the creature has hexproof. So, like, there's already some kind of like built-in thing here to make it difficult for your opponent to interact with it. And from my thought on this, I look at it and like, well, how can we make a card like this playable if only there was a mechanic that, like, maybe, I don't know, Wizards just came out with that made creatures slightly more difficult to target, but maybe wasn't quite hexproof, like a fixed version of hexproof. Maybe they could call it Ward.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like this would be an excellent card to have something like Ward, because I just like I don't know if I want to be spending my 2 mana in an enchantment deck, because there's already a lot of really powerful cards that slot in with that. Cards like SRAM. And I don't know if this is going to make that cut, because these enchantment decks, I mean, yeah, the card draw is amazing, but I still need a lot of enchantments in my deck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's I mean, we'll talk on it a little more when we talk about our commander video, but it's an interesting commander.
Interesting commander, yeah. I was just kind of mentioning this from the standpoint of Modern, is that, like, I feel like it's a good card, but it's not quite good enough. I feel like it needed some form of protection on itself, and that's why I think Ward would be really good here. Just to, like, try and slow the opponent down, but still make it a card that you can interact with in some way to see if you could, like, maybe balance it out like that. But I don't know if this makes a cut in Modern.
I don't know. For 2 mana, it definitely could. If you're really doing an enchantment deck right, if you're running enchantment creatures and stuff like that, card draw is amazing. And this is That helps tremendously.
I mean, I agree with you. It's just I look at it like there's already so much competition whenever it comes to those kinds of decks at a 2-drop slot. So as I mentioned, I mean, there's SRAM, there's also Core Spirit Dancer, which both of those are 2-drops. They both also draw you cards. And then Core Spirit Dancer also gets huge. So it gets +2/+2 for each aura attached to it. So I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at this wrong. Maybe this isn't like you load all your auras up on one creature to make it really big. Maybe this is a different kind of enchantment deck where instead of me trying to attack in, maybe this is the enchantment deck where I'm trying to lock my opponent out.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting the vibe of. I think you just flood the board. I'm seeing a flood the board thing with this card. I don't know. I guess we'll see. What's next, David?
I definitely have more to talk about that with that one whenever it comes to Commander, though.
Yep.
All right.
What's
next up,
next?
we have Search the Premises, which is 3 and a white for an enchantment. It says whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, investigate. So you get a clue.
You do get a clue.
Yeah, this is not Smothering Tithe. It is one of those cards where it's like you're gonna get some kind of a bonus that based off of what your opponent is doing. I don't know how good this is though. So clues, it's an artifact token that you can sacrifice for 2 mana and you can draw a card based off of it. So there's still definitely some kind of playability here. I mean, this is, I guess, white card draw. But for EDH, it's 4 mana. This is way too slow because it does nothing on its own. You actually still have to have your opponent playing into it, which come turn 4, if your opponent is swinging, it's probably because they're swinging in with a creature that's going to kill you, in which it doesn't matter how many clues you have, you're dead. In EDH, I guess this does things, but
I think it does absolutely do things in EDH. And the reason I say that is because let's say you're running an artifact deck. You've got things that say sack an artifact, do this. This is on being attacked. You can sack the thing that gets created immediately and do whatever you want with said creatures. I think it's pretty cool.
I think it's very specific if you're looking at it from that perspective, because you have to have a board state that already feeds into this.
Yeah. I mean, with 4 mana, I'd hope you'd have somewhat of a board state. I mean, not too crazy, but you never know.
I mean, worst case scenario, I guess you get a draw card whenever somebody attacks you, so long as you invest the 2 mana. But
this the artwork does pay homage to Thraben Inspector, if you notice.
Yeah.
Cool. Pretty cool on that. I've been really digging the artwork that pays tribute to the older cards. It's really cool. All right, let's just go on to the next one. Thought Monitor. That is 1 blue and 6 generic mana for a 2/2. It says it has affinity for artifacts. It has flying, and it says when Thought Monitor enters the battlefield, draw 2 cards.
Okay, so before we even dive into this one, what I want to really kind of ask you right off the bat is just like, how much would you be willing to pay for a 2/2 with flying that draws you 2 cards? What is the max amount of mana you'd be willing to spend on something that does that?
4.
Okay, so 4 mana for a 2/2 that draws you 2 cards.
Yep.
Yeah,
Keep your
no,
flyer.
I could see that. I could see that. That's okay. So based off that, you have to have a board state in which you have at least 3 artifacts in play in order for us to get that down to 4. I can see that.
Yeah. Especially if you had your little enchantment from the last one, making you little clues.
Oh, my squirrel enchantment in my artifact construct deck.
Exactly.
Or I'm sorry, the whenever you attack me and beat me up thing.
Yeah, that one.
I mean, I see where this wants to go. It wants to go in with like Memnite and Ornithopter and all of those kinds of goodies.
They did show off a couple Thopters today. We're not going to be talking about them today. But I don't know. I feel like this set in particular, they're pushing a lot of different things. Like they're pushing artifacts hard.
They're pushing artifacts hard. They're pushing enchantments hard. I think I think whenever they banned Mox Opal, they realized that holy shit, they kind of neutered all of the artifact decks that were in the format, which I don't know, just kind of created this void. So I think that they're trying to heal that up a little bit. And I mean, enchantment decks, aside from Boggles, which I think is always just at tier 2 at best, there's never really been a super hardcore enchantment style deck. So I think that they're trying to like push for some of these fringe decks, which we'll see if they can make an impact. I think this card has the potential to be playable. At absolute best, this thing could be a 1-mana 2/2 that draws you 2 cards and it has flying on it.
Yeah, it seems pretty good if you can get a shit ton of artifacts first.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's if you get the artifacts. Otherwise, if you have no board late game, they say someone cleared your board, you're sitting with a 7-mana 2/2.
I mean, so in EDH, I don't know how much of a fan of I am of something like this, because people do play board wipes. In Modern, though, unless you're going up against a control deck, you're probably not seeing any board wipes.
Yeah.
People do run artifact removal, and I mean, obviously creature removal as well, if some of your artifacts that you're banking on are creatures, but I think I might still be able to see this one making its way in.
Yeah, it definitely has its abilities. We'll definitely see if it can do anything in the format. Moving on, what do we got, David?
Next up, we have Inevitable Betrayal. It is 0 mana value. It is a sorcery with suspend 3 for 1 blue. It says, search target opponent's library for a creature card. Put that card onto the battlefield under your control. That player then shuffles their library.
I think it's just dope in EDH. I don't know anything about Modern, about it being played in Modern, but just if you were to play this, I'm just going to go off on a rant for EDH real quick. If you were to play this in an EDH deck, and you know what decks your opponents are running, meaning you have somewhat of an idea of what's in those decks, this is a timer that says, hey, you better play that card before I do. And that's fun.
That was much less of a rant than what I was expecting you to go on. I'm going to go ahead and say that this card is actually not good. And I think it's not good in EDH either. Part of the reason why I say this is because Bribery is already in the format. And Bribery, for those of you who don't know, is 3 blue for a sorcery that has basically the identical text. It says, search target opponent's library for a creature card, put that card into play under your control, then that player shuffles his or her library. Now, my thought on this being is that, yes, okay, I know that one of the two of these costs significantly more than the other. However, Inevitable Betrayal has a suspend cost of 3. So it's not the same like suspend of 1 that we've been kind of seeing so far. You're going to be casting it maybe on turn 6 after it gets off of suspend. That's assuming that you're just playing 1 mana source per turn, and that's actually a turn after Bribery. I also look at it like these suspend cards make for horrible top decks. If I'm in the late game and I'm hellbent, so I have no cards in my hand, and I top deck this literally does nothing for me that turn. Whereas Bribery, at least, like, it gives me a creature and potentially interferes with my opponent. The other issue that I happen to have with this is, like, if you know your opponent is playing a creature-based combo, this is fine, because then you can steal that creature, maybe make them jump through some hoops where they need to kill it, and then reanimate it. But if they're not, are you just grabbing a big fatty or something that you think? I don't know. I'm opposite of you on this, and just for consistency's sake here, so that everybody knows, if it says suspend, I'm not interested in Modern.
Yeah, I don't think suspend is just too slow for Modern for me.
Yeah,
but
interesting to hear your perspective, though.
Yeah, dude, it Modern is fast. You have to win by turn 4 sometimes. If you're suspending it for 3 turns, you're doing nothing for 3 turns with that card. Not good. Not good. Slow.
Yeah, and like you're not suspending this on turn 1.
Yeah.
You're at best suspending this on turn 2. So this resolves turn 5?
Exactly. Let's just go ahead to the last card we're spoiling today. And that is a reprint. That reprint is Riptide Laboratory. It is a land. You can tap it, add a colorless mana. Or you could pay 1 and a blue and tap it and return target wizard you control to its owner's hand.
Sweet.
Yeah, cool. If you're playing wizards, that's it.
I don't think this is going to do anything in Modern.
Yeah.
It's already available for those of you who play Commander. It's a $7 card. So if you open it, I guess... I don't even know if you break even on the price of these packs.
I don't know, man. These packs are crazy. We've said it before. I don't want to go into it again, but they just keep going up and up and up. Especially with the announcement. It seems like every collector booster since Ikoria or something, maybe even before that, the collector boosters are like, oh, we're not doing print to demand anymore. It's just we're running a thing and that's it.
Well, this set is supposed to be print to demand, so we'll see how that goes.
I heard not for collector boosters.
Oh, for collector boosters. No, I'm just talking about the normal product.
No, I was just talking about collectors. With that being not print to demand, which is crazy. Only skyrockets the price of those, so whatever. Wizards can do whatever they want. They're the money machine. Enough about that. This card, it's all right if you have wizards. I'm not interested at all.
I'm not either.
And that's it. That's today's spoilers. Again, this is May 31st, 2021. Hope you guys enjoyed that. If you disagree with us or agree with us, let us know in the comment section down below. Hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Also follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Our handles are Guys That Magic on both of those. This is Guys That Magic. Later.
Later.